All rise.
I want viewers watching my show to believe in themselves.
Judge Hatchett is compelling.
I was not the first one to throw a walk.
Let me just tell you what you just said.
Compassionate.
I really enjoy being a judge. Now I am touching people who I will never know I touched.
She's powerful.
You should have never let them walk out of your life when she was 3.
And she's on the bench.
Don't get me preaching up in here today.
Right.
I'm Terrence Coleman, former Superior Court Judge, Fulton County, Georgia. Today's cases explore deaths, trust, and accountability. Stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe for more legal insights.
You all cannot work this out. So you're in court and you're suing the defendant for $1,500.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, why are you suing her?
It's a debt owed to me by her late husband. She refuses to pay it.
How did you know her late husband?
Her late husband and I were buddies. We would hang out at the gambling track, and we would bet, occasionally. I would bet all the time, but not big bets. It's
so
like $50.
So we're talking about horse racing?
Horse racing, exactly.
So gambling at horse racing.
Exactly.
And so how is it that the debt of $1,500 came about?
Well, like I say, we met a couple of years ago and we got to know each other, and we would sit and we would talk about systems. Like, is there a way to, defeat these horses using a system? And he tells me that he's been down talking to the trainers.
Okay, all right. So he's talking to the trainers, and then what happens? Right.
One of these trainers tells him that Stormy Night runs on the mud incredibly well. And he comes back and says, this thing's got 40-to-1 odds. There's no way we can lose. It's supposed to rain, all this. And he's just like, it's like he's seen the light of God and he's going to win this bet and just.
40-to-1 odds.
40-to-1.
The horse runs really great on mud, and it might rain.
It might. It's not my style at all. Like I say, I'm there just to play the game.
Okay, so now what happens? How do we get to this $1,500?
So he says to me, hey, can I have some money? And I said, how much do you need? And he says, $1,500. And I said, well, that's a lot of money. I mean, if I give that to you and you lose it, how am I going to get paid back considering you got no credit,
Right, because if he had credit, he wouldn't need to come to you for the $1,500.
Exactly. And so you said, if you lose, how do I get it back? And his response was? I got this watch.
Got this watch.
I have this watch. It's been in my family for a long time. It has a lot of value. It's worth $2,000. And I'm sitting there going, well, okay. I've seen this watch on him a couple of times. It is a nice watch.
And is this the watch you have, Ms. Hess?
Yes, Your Honor.
May I see this watch, please?
Yes, Your Honor. I also have a picture of it if you want.
I would like to have a picture.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go.
So this is the watch. You've seen him wear it. And your husband's first name was?
John.
So John says, look, Jake, I'm sure of it. But if I lose, I'll put up the family heirloom. It's been in the family.
Yes.
It's worth $2,000.
Right.
And that'll be the collateral if I lose.
And he's asking for 15.
All right, so now I understand from the complaint, and my condolences, Ms. Hess, that your husband passed away unexpectedly.
Yes, Your Honor.
So did you contact Ms. Hess and say, hey, wait, your husband owed me money?
So the deal is that, after the horse lost, we went by the house.
Because that was going to be my question. Why not just go get the watch?
On the same day the horse lost, obviously it didn't rain, that we went to the house. So he goes in the house for like half an hour, and that watch is a mystery. He can't find it anywhere. And he comes out and says, I can't find it. And I said, we got to do better than that. But the thing is, even before that, I had a note.
Oh, okay, so you had something in writing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that was smart.
You want to see this?
Yes, I would like to see that, Jake, because that's really the first smart thing you've said so far.
Okay. I had a note, and I also have a wire transfer because I did end up transferring the funds into his account.
So you have clear evidence that you gave him the $1,500 and that there was a written agreement between you and John about this $1,500. So let's see what this has to say. Immediately after winning the bet, he says he's going to pay you the $1,500. If the bet does not pay, I will go to my house where I will retrieve a watch valued at $2,000. Wire transfer, $1,500. It's the loan. Got it? Got it. This is smart. You are a businessman.
I am a businessman.
So you did dot your I's and cross your T's.
That's right.
Okay, so now we're at the house. He comes back out. He says, I can't find the watch. Is that what he told you?
You can't find it. All of a sudden, the watch is MIA. Who knows if there's a watch or not?
I do.
Coming up on The Verdict with Judge Hatchett.
Anyway, afterwards I find out he's opened other credit cards, and lo and behold, I'm $88,000 in debt.
Whoa.
And later,
And when I went to his office, I noticed that there was brand new furniture, a brand new flat screen TV, and a brand new computer, and that was a red flag to me.
The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Jake DeMoro, who is suing Sally Hess for $1,500.
I had suspected my late husband had had some gambling problems through the years. I had no idea about their agreement. I had no idea it had gotten as out of hand as it had.
So when you say out of hand, tell me what happened. What happened with your husband and his gambling?
Well, there are addictive personalities in the world. We've been married 20 years. He'd had help before, and he'd had his little system for betting where he'd put $250 aside. We could do it. We could afford it. He'd use that with the earnings and the winnings and just have fun. I thought, what a great opportunity. He'd show me his winnings. I didn't really pay much attention, but I just had an inkling, and I wish I'd listened to my inkling because, long story short, after all is said and done, he'd gotten way more than the one credit card, and I'm right now.
So there was one credit card that you all had agreed, hey,
$250.
$250 on this credit card to use.
Yes.
And go out, have fun at the track, win some, maybe sometimes you don't win, but we've got it capped.
Anyway, afterwards I find out he's opened other credit cards, and lo and behold, I'm $88,000 in debt. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't co-sign. I've looked up on this, but I'm trying to settle. But in the meantime, I'm making payments, trying to keep my credit and my name good.
Oh, my goodness.
No offense, I had a feeling about Jake as well, Mr. DeMoro.
What kind of feeling about Jake?
He just seemed a little sketchy. There were schemes beyond what he's saying my late husband had. I just think the letter and the wire transfer, which I've seen, are a little circumstantial in my opinion, but it's up to you. But I'd like to.
Well, so is it your position that you don't owe the money from your husband's estate to Jake at this point?
Yes, I mean, I don't know if he paid him back and maybe didn't,
But do
sign.
we have any evidence that he paid him back? Do you have any evidence for the court today that your husband paid Jake back?
Unfortunately not. However, I just feel just the fact that he's taking me to court after all this, I'd like to throw myself on the court. I'm a grieving widow. I feel like he's just taking advantage of somebody's last dime, which, it's almost verging on harassment, however many times I've been contacted by him. At the funeral, I mean, he starts bringing up this watch.
Now, you did not show up at the funeral asking her for this watch or money, did you?
We were good friends. I was at the funeral. Maybe I made a mistake.
That wasn't the question. Did you show up at John's funeral harassing her about the money at the funeral?
It came up after.
How did it come up?
I just said, hey, I hope when you're going through his things that you can find this watch that he's supposed to give me. I mean, he was an honorable guy. I mean, I wore black to honor him today. I mean, it just came out of my mouth.
And you know that was not right.
Absolutely.
And you know that you owe Miss Hess an apology for that.
I do. And I apologize. I'm very sorry on that day of grieving for you and your family and his friends.
Up there asking about the damn watch. What were you thinking about? Gee whiz. But the fact remains, Miss Hess, and I am not without concern or sympathy for your family. But your husband and Jake had a written agreement.
Yeah, I didn't.
I know, I
sorry.
know, and I really am sympathetic. I am so sympathetic
Thank you.
about what you are going through. It is horrible enough to have to lose your husband, certainly somebody you've been married to for a long time, but then to uncover all of this debt. Yeah. So there's one thing to go to the track and say, okay, I have a $250 limit, and I'm just gonna have fun, or people who go to casinos and they say, I'm only gonna take $100, and when the $100 is gone in the slot machines, I get up. But it's the people who max out their credit cards. It's the people who take out loans on their home. So my concern is that there's no shame in getting help, regardless of what the addiction is. The shame is not getting help. And so addiction is real. It is real, and it's something that we have to be sensitive to and that we have to be supportive of our loved ones, all right? So I give you the choice. I can either award the watch to Jake now, or I can give you 6 months to pay him the $1,500 back. What do you wish to do?
If that's what you must do, I'd rather keep the watch. It's an heirloom. I'll be happy to.
All right, so given the circumstances, Jake, I'm going to give her some flexibility. She has over 6 months to pay you back, and at that time, she should have paid it in full. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500, so ordered.
Thank you.
All rise.
Judge Hatchett has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $1,500.
I'm sorry for your unfortunate circumstances, but your husband and I had a deal, and it needs to be kept.
I just wish I'd known the severity of John's gambling addiction, but at least I get to keep the watch.
And coming up,
Did the Archbishop and the Bishop have to approve the renovations to where you live?
No, Your Honor, that's a residence.
You see the dilemma I'm having with this. Ms. Jacobs,
Yes, Your Honor.
so you are suing Father Barman for $970, and I've read your complaint that you filed with the court, and basically what you're saying is that you gave this money expecting it to be spent on renovations of the church. So tell me what happened.
That's correct, Your Honor. So I started attending St. George about over 3 years ago. And when I first started going to this church, I really loved the sense of community. I loved the other members. And there was a lot of volunteer opportunities at this church, which I was really involved with. And I also loved hearing Father Barman's sermons. And there was an opportunity that Father presented to us, which was this annual fish fry that we were going to raise money for church renovations. And I have the flyer
Hold on,
with
just a
me, Your
second.
Honor.
So was there an annual church fish fry?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and so what happened?
After a few months of not seeing any construction workers, any contractors, he said the landscaping would be one of the first things we would work on. None of that got resolved. And when I went to his office, I noticed that there was brand new furniture, a brand new flat screen TV, and a brand new computer, and that was a red flag to me.
coming up,
So did the Archbishop and the Bishop have to approve the renovations to where you live?
the verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Emily Jacobs, who is suing Henry Barman for fraud.
All right, Father Barman, what's going on here? What happened to the money that was raised at the annual fish fry?
Yes, well, we had city approvals and permits, and the permits were approved immediately for the rectory, whereas for the church, there's a lot of red tape that goes through that. I have to go through the bishop and the archdiocese to get those approved.
So wait a minute. You're telling me that to get a permit with the city to do renovations on the sanctuary, the church itself, that the bishop and the archbishop have to be involved to be able to get a permit?
Yes, Your Honor, I have evidence here for the archdiocese, the protocols we have to follow to get a church renovation.
All right, so why didn't you get that approved before you started raising money?
Well, it's all time constraints and takes time, and and also to be sure to have the money before we get the
So
approvals.
did the Archbishop and the Bishop have to approve the renovations to where you live?
No, Your Honor, that's a residence.
But it's a residence that's owned by the church.
Correct, Your Honor. It's part of the church, and its funding is part of our church.
You see the dilemma I'm having with this.
Judge Hatchett's verdict when we return.
So you go and you confront Father, and what does he say to you about it?
He tells me, you know, I need to have faith, keep in good faith that the renovations are taking time and they're working on them, and he assures me in a few months that they'll be done, but he didn't show me any contracts or anything saying specifically that he had plans or a specific timeline, you know, saying, oh, we're gonna work on the floor first, then this, then the ceiling, you know.
I'm doing the best I can. I'm running a whole parish, a couple hundred people. My schedule is booked weekly. It changes.
Let me suggest this. Do you have a finance committee? You need to get one. Because once you lose the faith and trust of the people that you say you're leading, you've got a real problem. And for me to come into your office and see this plasma TV, well, we need some new pews and we need some new carpeting and we need all these other things in the sanctuary, and I'm thinking my check was written out for those things, creates a question of trust.
Yeah, and I understand it. It looks that way, but truthfully, that's not really what's happening.
Let me tell you, Ms. Jacobs, as much as I would like to give you the $970 back, that's a matter you're going to take up with the internal committees at that church. For that reason, I am denying your claim of $970, but Father Barman, you know, if you don't know about finances, get somebody in the church to chair a committee, because you are going down a slippery slope that's not going to get better. All right? Judgment for the plaintiff denied, so ordered.
All rise.
Judge Hatchett has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
Emily, I promise the church renovations will be finished soon and will be more transparent with the church funds in the future.
I really hope so, Father, because I want to see our church improve.
Case 1. Jake DeMoro versus Sally Hess, $1,500 gambling loan. Reasons in favor of Jake. Plaintiff, winning side. Written agreement, contract law principle. Jake produced a signed written note and evidence of a wire transfer, proving the loan existed. Courts generally enforce contracts supported by consideration, money given in exchange for repayment. Collateral offered. John Hess pledged a watch valued at $2,000 as collateral. Even if the watch disappeared, the collateral strengthened Jake's proof that this was a serious financial agreement, not a casual loan. Contract survives death, a state law principle. Debts incurred by a deceased person typically become obligations of their estate, meaning Sally, as surviving spouse or estate representative, can be responsible for repayment. Clear evidence of debt. The combination of the note and the bank transfer created a paper trail, satisfying the burden of proof that money was lent and repayment was promised. Reasons against Jake. Why Sally argued she shouldn't pay. Widow's lack of knowledge. Sally testified she never consented to the loan and was unaware of the deal. She tried to argue her husband's debts shouldn't automatically transfer to her. Questionable character and timing. Jake confronted her at the funeral, which cast doubt on his intentions and credibility. Sally implied he was exploiting a grieving widow. Gambling debt public policy argument. Courts sometimes refuse to enforce debts related to illegal or morally questionable activities, e.g. private gambling. Sally hinted the agreement was tied to reckless behavior, which shouldn't be enforceable. Why the judge sided with Jake. Despite sympathy for Sally, the judge emphasized the legality and enforceability of a signed loan agreement. Jake met the burden of proof with documents. Sally had no evidence the debt was repaid. The law generally requires honoring contracts, even connected to poor decisions like gambling. To balance fairness, the judge gave Sally 6 months to repay instead of taking the heirloom watch immediately. Case 2. Emily Jacobs versus Father Henry Barman, $970 church donation. Reasons in favor of Emily. Plaintiff losing side. Donation based on misrepresentation. Fraud, contract law. Emily claimed the money was given under the understanding it would be used for sanctuary renovations, but instead saw spending on personal comforts. She argued this was fraudulent inducement, donations under false pretenses. Reasonable expectation of transparency. Donors are entitled to expect funds are used as promised. Evidence like the flyer advertising renovations supported her claim that the funds were earmarked. Breach of trust. Seeing a new TV and furniture in the priest's office created the impression of mismanagement, undermining fiduciary duty. Reasons against Father Barman. Defendant, winning side. Church governance rules. He explained that major sanctuary renovations required approval from the bishop and archdiocese, which caused delays. Funds may not have been misused, but rather redirected temporarily. Legal standing of donations. Donations are generally considered gifts, not contracts. Unless Emily could prove outright fraud, she cannot reclaim donations once given to a nonprofit or religious body. Internal church authority. Civil courts often defer to internal governance of religious organizations on financial disputes, citing the First Amendment, church autonomy doctrine. Why the judge sided with Father Barman. While acknowledging Emily's concerns and the poor optics of new personal items, the judge ruled that donations are not refundable contracts. Without clear evidence of fraud, the dispute was deemed an internal church matter, not one for civil courts. The judge denied Emily's claim, but advised Father Barman to create a finance committee for transparency, highlighting accountability, without overriding church authority. Summary of legal basis. Case 1. Jake versus Sally. Contract law and estate responsibility weighed out sympathy for the widow. Judgment, repayment of $1,500. Case 2. Emily versus Barman. Gift law and church autonomy. Donations are gifts, not contracts. Civil court cannot intervene in church fund disputes without proof of fraud. Judgment, claim denied.